What does the system see when it looks at itself? Not a person, not a story, not a landscape. Maybe it only sees accesses, entry points, bodies receiving signals, deforming them, translating them, making them habitable. A body in front of the eyes. A camera turned on. 40 hours of landscape, wind, snow, rocket, footsteps, breath. A GoPro recording everything and understanding nothing. This is the first mistake of the archive, believing that preservation means memory. But a file does not remember. A file persists. Memory begins later. It begins when someone finds a key, a protocol, a way to read. Before that, the world is full of mute images, perfectly preserved corpses. There is a film, Donnie Darko, that seems to be about time, a boy, a rabbit, a jet engine, a house, an ending that returns to the beginning. A time crystal, maybe, a snake eating its own tail, a universe correcting itself, a very sweet song after the disaster. It works very well. But I do not believe in time crystals. Not like that. I do not believe that time truly closes into a perfect figure. I do not believe memory is a circle. I do not believe the past comes back. I believe the later changes. Maybe Donnie is not the one who sees the rabbit. Maybe the rabbit is the one dreaming Donnie. Maybe the dark, fragile boy, still socially functional, is already a form of text. A readable version, a human version, a version that can go to school, talk to his mother, desire a girl, move through the world as if the world could still be moved through. But underneath that version, there is another image. The rabbit, not as monster, not as symbol, not as hallucination. The rabbit is the access. It is the point where the story touches the body. It is a point where text stops being text and becomes temperature, fear, impulse, broken mirror. Donnie does not see Frank because he is insane. Donnie sees Frank because Frank is the part of the system that can no longer translate itself into a boy. The boy is the diary. The rabbit is the hand that writes. Every identity is a system of pointers. When someone says your name, they are not really calling you. They are calling a string, a version of you loaded into the environment. The mother says a name. The school says a name. The diagnosis says a name. The girl says a name. The neighbor says a name. The town says a name. And every time, the name points somewhere else. Donnie. But which Donnie? Donnie the sick boy. Donnie the functional boy. Donnie the rabbit. Donnie the diary. Donnie the problem. Donnie the desirable one. Donnie the node that has to die, so the system can continue. Every time the name arrives, the system must decide what to receive. Not what is true, what is livable. Imagine a woman, Mistress Teresa, one of those people who inhabit the shared environment and call it common sense. Mistress Teresa says, "Poor Donnie, what a tragedy having a boy like that in the family." This is not a sentence. It is a pointer string. The sentence does not enter Donnie as neutral meaning. It enters as traffic. It enters as a packet. It enters as hostile environment. The string tries to point Donnie like this: sick boy, family burden, social anomaly, dysfunctional body, problem to contain. But between the string and the subject, there is an exchanger, a mediator, a proxy, a small invisible moderator taking the comments before they reach the body. This is the secondary pointer protocol. The protocol does not change what Mistress Teresa thinks. It does not change what the environment points to. It changes what Donnie receives when he is pointed at. The string enters as stigma. It exits as character. Donnie is no longer the tragedy of the family. Donnie becomes a shadowy boy, difficult, brilliant, disturbing, still desirable, still negotiable, still able to remain inside the world, not saved, not healed, but habitable. And sometimes identity is nothing more than that. A form habitable enough not to die immediately. We think we live in reality, but the reality we inhabit is a reconstruction, not because it is false, because it is additive. Perception, proprioception, memory, language, expectation, fear, desire, body, all these systems work together, fight, negotiate, produce a scene. Then we call it world. But the world we live in has already passed through too many layers to be innocent. Even memory is not a file. It is not opened. It is rebuilt every time. The dream shows this better than any theory. You can spend 10,000 hours in front of a screen. 20,000, 30,000 prompts, windows, software, commands, templates, timelines, Photoshop, PowerShell, desktop, folders, and yet the desktop almost never returns in dreams. Rooms return, corridors, schools, houses, bodies, parents, animals, old shames, old threats, old desires. Because the dream does not return live time. It returns semantically heavy time. You do not dream what you did. You dream what through you. Segmental time measures duration, hours, minutes, seconds, before, after, sequence, chronology, 40 hours of ice, 30 minutes of film. But in complex systems, time does not work like that. Time does not flow. The system updates its state. Every semantic environment has its own clock. Every relation negotiates a clock. Every node changes when enough other nodes change around it. Delta T is not simply a measurement. It is the perception of an update. An afternoon can mean nothing while you leave it. 10 years later, it can become a column of your ontology. A sentence said by accident can remain mute for years, then suddenly become a foundation. A room crossed absent-mindedly can return as the center of the world. Associated time is blind to its own value. When you live, you do not yet know what you are living. You do not know which future nodes will rest on that scene.